Virginia is the state of Virginia is becoming the 23rd state, and they're going to abolish the death penalty. So they're the 23rd state to abolish the death penalty after the state house passes the bill. So Virginia is going to become the 23rd state to abolish the death penalty after the state capitol after the state House of Delegates passed a legislation Friday that would end capital punishment in the Commonwealth a day after the state Senate passed a similar bill and the governor said he plans to sign it. Friday's vote on the bill in the House of Delegates was 57 to 41, with 3 Republicans joining the Democratic majority in support of this measure. The Virginia's Democratic-led Senate passed their version of the bill on Wednesday on a party line vote, and it was referred to a House committee Friday. On the 2 bills needed, will need to be approved by the other chamber, and the Virginia House Democrats are confident that both bills will be passed by both chambers as they are identical, the majority's press secretary Kate Sarna told CNN. But Friday's passage in the House effectively guarantees the legislation will reach the governor's desk. Virginia's Democratic Governor Ralph Northam supports abolishing the death penalty, and after the Senate's vote on Wednesday said that he looks forward to signing the bill. But Virginia has executed more than 1,300 people, which is more than any other state since the Jamestown colony's first recorded execution in 1608 for espionage, according to the Death Penalty Information Center. If the bill is signed into law, Virginia would be the first southern state to repeal the death penalty since the U.S. Supreme Court reinstated the punishment back in 1976. But the debate among the Virginia lawmakers this week over the bill has been emotionally charged. Ahead of the final votes on Friday, GOP state Jason Mayaris, who voted against the bill, argued that the death penalty is not about revenge, but it's about justice for the victims. During Thursday's debate on the bill, Mayaris, a former criminal prosecutor, held up pictures of murder victims in Virginia, describing the horrible and violent ending to their lives and arguing that victims have been completely left out in this debate over the death penalty. And the House bill sponsor, Mike Mullen, and other Democrats argued that the death penalty should be abolished because it is immoral, biased, racially, basically, ineffective, and costly. And what keeps me up at night is that we run the risk of executing an innocent person, the Democratic lawmakers said in a statement, which is also true. The Democratic Mark Levin got choked up on Friday as he shared emotional testimony of how his sister Janet was murdered by her husband. Levin said that the House bill is not about him or the victims, but about the fact that the state may end up killing innocent people. Killing someone else doesn't bring Janet back to me, Levin said, adding that wrongfully executing an innocent person would be an act of evilness. But the legislation would eliminate capital punishment sentencing effective July, but it would also commute the existing death penalty, the death sentence to life imprisonment without parole. Some Senate Republicans had objected to that chamber's bill because it did not include a mandatory minimum life sentence for any aggravated murder without the possibility of parole, and there were 2 inmates on death row in Virginia as of December of 2020, according to Virginia's Department of Corrections. Also with Virginia, the House also voted to legalize marijuana recreationally on a vote of 55 to 42, with 2 abstaining, and the Senate later Friday passed its own measure by 23 to 15. If the legislation is signed by Northam, Virginia would become the first southern state to legalize marijuana recreationally. The bills would create the Virginia Cannabis Control Authority and establish a regulatory structure for the cultivation, manufacture, wholesale, and retail sale of retail marijuana and retail marijuana products to be administered by the authority. The measures would also provide a process to automatically expunge certain marijuana-related convictions. According to the summaries, the bills have staggered effective dates and would allow retail marijuana sales to start on January 1st, 2024, while certain provisions do not become effective unless reenacted by the 2020 session of the General Assembly. Northam has pushed for marijuana to be legalized this session and signed the legislation last year that decriminalized marijuana possession. I say when it comes to marijuana, fucking legalize it. There's nothing wrong with it. I love getting high, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But the death penalty, as far as I'm concerned, I can care less about that being abolished, but there are a lot of people who are innocent that have been executed, and there's nothing you can do about that. But yeah.